Today, we're going to discuss FFRAT. This is a family of malware used in a number of targeted attacks that's actually been around for a couple of years. Now, this isn't industry specific, nor geographic specific, but we have seen that the command and control hosts are located in Hong Kong. So what is it? It's a dropper which is placed in Windows systems. It uses deception, so it looks like a standard debugger, but it's actually doing some malicious stuff. And then ultimately, it's passing information back to these C2 hosts. So let's get into it. So first we're going to start with the victim machine. This machine has CylancePROTECT running in audit-only mode. So this is essentially used for the demonstration we're going to do today. We're going to move the files over, and then we're going to close the window, go back to our desktop. Here we're going to open the folder, execute the file, and we're just going to agree to the Windows security warning. And what you'll see here is that the file immediately deletes itself, and this is actually the first step in the rat. Now we can see on the bottom that it analyzed some files, and then it flagged that these unsafe files were detected. We're not actually doing anything with it, because remember, we are in audit-only mode. So there are threats, and there are events. Now let's go into our console and see what CylancePROTECT picked up. You'll immediately see that there's one running threat, and that's the one that's on the device which we've been working with. Here's the rat's data file, or DAT file. We can look up and down to see all the properties, and also what Cylance actually detected that makes it a rat, the different properties here. Now let's go into the dashboard and see what Cylance actually detected in this attack. And what we'll notice here after requesting the data from the endpoint is that we see the storyline of the attack. Now the exclamation point shows what CylancePROTECT would have prevented if it was in full protection mode. We're now going to go back to our victim. And again, protection is still off. While we were away, we picked up more of the same attack. And you can see here that there are 6 events instead of 3. We're going to go to System32 directory. And within here, we're going to search for the file. And you'll notice that this RCO resx64.dat was placed by the rat. Now, that's signed by a Beijing-based company, which doesn't really look real. So clearly this is something that's abnormal. But it hasn't actually done anything yet. And that's really important. What we're going to do now is we're going to push a full policy, a full protection policy, to the endpoint. Going back to our machine, we're going to confirm that the full protection policy is turned on. So you can see that instead of just a demo EDR only, we now have full demo online. And as we sit here, what's going to begin to happen is that CylancePROTECT is going to pick up the file. This has changed from strictly seeing the threat to actually now quarantining these files. And when we search again for this RCO file, what we'll find is that it doesn't exist. This is an example of where Cylance was set to monitor only, but when we turned on full protection, it cleaned up the mess and protected the machine. Now for our final example, we're going to run CylancePROTECT in full protection mode on. We're going to bring over our samples like we did before, go in here, see that we're in full protect mode, and just wait a couple of seconds for CylancePROTECT to pick up the bad binaries. And what we'll see is that it's inspecting files, notably those on the desktop, and it's going to immediately quarantine the abnormal files and never allow anything to happen. So in this example, even though we didn't try to execute anything, the background threat detection in CylancePROTECT was able to pick up these files and quarantine them before anyone was able to do anything. So in summary, CylancePROTECT stops malware rats pre-execution before they can place memory-based attacks into action. It runs silently in the background to detect bad files. It offers insight into what could have been, and there's no investigation or cleanup required.